欢迎大家继续来收听我们防疫用视讯的单元。那今天最主要是来教大家该如何非常专业的表达自己的意见，跟表达不同意，也就是 disagreement。那希望得到我们视讯课程的优惠码的朋友，记得到我们的 Facebook， 也就是主管英文 Executive Plus。Hello， 欢迎来到 Executive Plus 主管双语沟通力的 podcast。我们希望带给大家最实用的沟通工具，包括了成功人士对全球市场的分享、职场英语的技能、跨文化沟通技巧与其他能帮助您成为出色领导者的工具。Hi, I'm Sherry, founder of Executive Plus. As a language trainer and certified coach, I've trained hundreds of managers from Fortune 500 companies such as Dior, Google, Deloitte, and Yahoo.And
I'm Nick, Director of Communication Strategy at Presentality. I've helped startups raise millions of US dollars in funding and train the executives of publicly listed companies to present on the global stage.
Welcome to the Executive Plus podcast,
where you can take your communication and language skills from good to great. Hey everyone, welcome back to the Executive Plus podcast.Today, we're going to continue our series on conference call recap, especially for those just settling back into working from home. In this episode, we're going to cover a few advanced tips and tricks for doing things like expressing your opinion or disagreeing with someone online.
所以我们今天来聊两个非常重要的一个 skill， 也就是如何要表达你的意见，还有就是如何表达你在不同意人家的时候。所以先让我们来看看表达你自己的 opinions. How do you express your opinions? 因为通常大部分的人可能就会讲说okay, yeah, I understand, I agree, I disagree.就是用这样子的方式，那其实这些都比较没有建设性，也就是它没有办法让你们的 conversation 能够继续下去。So instead of that, for you to express your opinions, you can always say, oh, I like to highlight your point on. So 你挑出人家刚刚讲的某一个部分，你觉得非常好，你同意的，你可以用这种方式。
One thing that you're going to find throughout both expressing your opinion and disagreeing is that being specific is really important. Specificity really helps people know why you agree with their points or why they disagree with your points. So when you're expressing your opinion, as Sherry said, when you say something like, I'd like to highlight your point on this, or I really like what you said about, and then this section, that next part where you're being specific really helps a conversation move forward. Otherwise, it just becomes a very general comment like, oh, that's really interesting.
Yeah.
Which part? What do I do with that, etc.
So it really shows that you're listening, right? You're a good listener because you actually listen to the specific points.
To be specific, other sentences that you could use are things like, I understand your point on, but, and then go into your disagreement. Or, while I agree with, specific part, on the other hand, and then another opinion.
没错，所以我们利用这种的方式，我们很具体的方式挑出来，你喜欢是 highlight 它什么 point， 或者是 I think that blank is an excellent point. And 我觉得这些都是很好去同意跟不同意人家的方式。So let's get into something that's harder, right? Most people don't like to disagree, but we have to do it at work, obviously. But how do you do it right and professionally?
So when it comes to disagreement, there's a few guidelines that I like to talk to people about, whether this is your first language or your second language, that usually helps smooth out your business interactions. So my 4 rules of disagreeing are, number 1, disagreements should always be tied to something that is in someone's control, whether it's your control or in their control. Otherwise, there's no point in disagreeing if you cannot change it. My second rule is be specific. So as we talked about with expressing your opinions, when disagreeing, being specific really matters because generalized statements don't help anyone change anything. Number 3 rule, have potential suggestions for improvement. Don't just disagree and leave it blank. It's really frustrating because you may not get what you want and the other side may not understand. The last rule is don't take it personally, meaning if it's about business, let it be about business. Otherwise, you may make decisions or you may disagree about something just because you personally don't like it.
所以在我们分享一些例句之前，我们先来做一些心态的建立。那在我们课程里面，Nick 他就有讲到说，在做不同意的人的时候，有4点它非常的重要。那刚刚他有讲到嘛，第一个就是你不同意的人，这个点是他能够控制的 ，It's something that's in their control。第二个就是你一定要具体 ，be specific。那第三个也就是呢，你要准备好可能你的一些 suggestions 或者是一些 alternative solutions。那第四个也就是当你被人家提到说他不同意你的时候 again it's not you, it's business, it's not personal.
If you take these 4 rules into mind, then there are just 3 steps to outlining your disagreement. Step 1, talk about the details, be specific about what you're disagreeing about. Step 2, highlight actions that are either being taken by their side or your side to show that you're disagreeing with action. And then 3, give your suggestions or potential solutions. Let me give you one quick example to show how this would work. Let's say that you disagree with a production schedule that you've worked out with your supplier. You could say something like, the production schedule you've given us does not hit our new product launch schedule. We need to move the production schedule forward by 3 weeks. I've already talked to other suppliers about giving partial shipments earlier so we can assemble the first 1,000 units. Is this something you can do as well?
那所以在这个部分呢，我们就有了3个步骤，也就是我们的 SOP。那第一个也就是你提供了我们解释我们的立场，我们解释了一些 detailed information. So, for example, 刚刚 Nick 有讲到嘛 the production schedule you've given us does not hit our new product launch schedule. We need to move that production schedule forward by 3 weeks. So that's where I stand. 然后这个是我们的立场 right? So the next one, it's gonna be about the action, right? To explain what has been done. 所以刚刚 Nick 有讲嘛 I've already talked to other suppliers about giving partial shipments earlier so that we can assemble the first 1,000 units. 那在最后也就是一个 solution. So is there something that you can do as well? Do you have other ideas or any kind of solutions that we can move our production schedule up? 我们就提供我们的 solutions.Using
this 3-step process can really smooth out those disagreements. Again, you'll hear a lot of the specifics, you'll hear solutions, and you'll hear an open-ended conversation so that people can fix it. If you want a lot more scenarios on this, go back and check out our podcast episodes on disagreeing, or go ahead and take a look at our conference call class where I go into a lot of detail of different scenarios using this 3-step process.
其实在我们的课程当中，我们有非常多不同的一些状况，所以不管是 solution 或者是 deadline 或者是 timeline 不同的，我们都有提出很多不同的那个 SOP。所以 if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. 那我们其实在之前一个 episode 我们有提到嘛，当你在不同意人家的时候 please 不要就直接讲说 oh, I don't agree or I beg to differ, right? It's not taking the conversation anywhere.And
I've given stories in the past where working with a client and we sent them work and they're like, I don't like any of it. And we can't use any of this. And then after a long conversation with them, talking to their supervisor, it turns out like 85-90% of everything was fine. There were just specific sections that they needed to have adjusted. And that took like 2 weeks of back and forth. If someone had just said, this needs to be changed, this needs to be changed, I don't like this wording, we could have been done in days.
Right.
So that's be specific, that work with this 3-step process. You will be amazed how much time you can save.
So I really hope you guys like our episode today, and we have one more coming up, so stay tuned.
Talk to you guys next time.
Bye.
Bye.
如果你喜欢我们的 podcast， 欢迎来追踪我们的主管英文 Executive Plus 的 Facebook。那也可以写信到我们的信箱yourcareerplus@gmail.com。